Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another spooky Sunday. I'm so warm. If you're from the UK right now, you will know that there has been a heat wave. It is cloudy today, which I'm thankful for, but it's still so muggy and I'm so warm, and then I've got my lights on which makes me warmer, but we're going to power through. I want to have a filming day today because I've been slacking on the filming for that exact reason, because it's too hot to put my filming light on. Anyway, back on today's video. Today is another Spooky Sunday video and we're going to do one that's a little bit different for all the other Spooky Sundays that I've done so far. I don't know how it's going to go. It's the first time I've scripted a video. I'm still learning how to script videos because I found with some videos that I was doing, when I was just going into it blind, I was editing out so much footage of me trying to figure out the next part of the video and stuff, whereas if I just plan what that video is going to be, then I can sort of do it and it flows a lot better for you to watch, if that makes sense. We'll see how it goes, but today's video is people that appeared out of nowhere. So I mean, you're walking down the street and someone just randomly appears and you don't know where they came from. I've got 3 stories here. I have written them down so that I can remember each detail that I find important from them. I'm also going to have all the sources that I used to find all these stories linked in the description, so if you want to go and check any of them out, they will be in the description box below. But without further ado, let's get on into today's video. So the first story is Rudolph Fentz. I think it's Fence. I've seen people spell it different online. I've seen people spell it F-E-N-Z, and then I've seen people spell it F-E-N-T-Z. So I'm not sure which one is the correct spelling, but I'm just gonna say Fence and hope that it's right. But I have put down that this is possibly fiction because I did see a few comments saying that this could be a fictional story, but I'm not too sure. Either way, I'm gonna read it because it's a really interesting story and hopefully you like it. In June 1950, a man was spotted in 19th century clothing walking around looking really confused in New York. He was noticed mainly because his clothes were so weird for the time. Obviously in 1950 and then 19th century, the clothing was a lot different. If you go to 19th century, I'm sure it's like 1800s. I remember doing history and the teacher told me that 19th century means 1800s because I used to get really confused because I thought that 19th century meant 1900s. But that's just a little bit of context for anybody that may also be confused about that. He was eventually hit by a taxi because obviously he's walking around in the road really confused. So the taxi hits him and he dies, and then all his belongings are taken to the police station and examined by police. They found pre-1870s banknotes, a copper token for an unheard of saloon, a bill from a stable for a horse care and carriage wash, and a letter from 1876. I've read that directly from my notes because I don't want to get any of the dates wrong, but that's what they found on him and the police were really shocked about it. In one of his pockets they also found a business card which had his name and address on it, and that's when they found out his name was Rudolph Fentz, or Fence, however it's spelled. The captain from the NYPD's missing persons department decided he wanted to follow a lead. He's a little bit curious about this case, so he decided to follow it up and see what he could find out. I just realised that I'm really close to the lens and not in focus. I'm so sorry I've focused you now. Hopefully that didn't bother you too much. When he was asking around the neighbourhood where the address was located, the captain actually ran into a little bit of a problem. No one seemed to know who Rudolph Fentz was at all. There was no record of him in the phone book. His prints didn't match anyone in the system. No Rudolph Fentz had ever been reported missing, but the NYPD captain decided he didn't want to give up. He wanted to find out who Rudolph Fentz was, why he'd just randomly appeared, and why no one had reported him missing. There was actually a Rudolph Fentz Jr. listed in a telephone directory in 1939, so the captain decided to take up this lead, even though it was a little bit of a long shot, and just see if he knew about anybody else called Rudolph Fentz that had gone missing and died recently. It was actually an elderly woman that now lived in this apartment that was listed in the directory. Allegedly, she was Rudolph Fentz Jr.'s widow. I'm going to read this directly from my notes because I don't want to miss any details out, but it says, she claimed her late husband's father had disappeared while on a walk in 1876 at the age of 31, when her husband was still a child. A search party and investigation were launched at the time. So with this information, the NYPD captain went and checked the database for missing people from 1876. The old woman's story seemed to be true. Again, I'm going to read this directly from my notes because there's a lot of dates and I don't want to miss them out, but it says, Perez, Rudolph Fentz, had vanished in 1876 on an evening walk. The description of his clothes had matched the clothes from the man in 1950. The face of the 1950s man matched the face of Rudolph Fentz in 1876. So the captain was literally terrified after reading this information, as I think anybody would be if you had stumbled across a man who had gone missing in 1876 and then he got found in 1950 and looking exactly the same. So because he was scared of coming across as a madman, he decided to drop all the findings that he got from this case and did not tell anybody about it. But somehow the story made it through, and a lot of theorising has come from this story. There was a possibility that Rudolph Fentz had time travelled. The story actually appeared in a lot of publications in 1950 as well. But this leaves many to wonder the origin of this story. So that is actually the end of the Rudolph Fentz story. What do you all think? Obviously there's the possibility that it is fiction. Some people are saying that it's fiction, some people are saying that it's real. Either way, I think it's a really, really good story. It's really interesting. And imagine if you were that captain, found some guy all those years later looking exactly the same in those clothes with the coin, the horse and stable thing. Oh, it's just insane. When I heard that story, I knew I had to tell it to you because it was so interesting. So the next one is Gil Perez, or Gil Perez, sorry, not Gil Perez. So on October 26th, 1593, a soldier just randomly appeared in Plaza Mayor, which is in Mexico City. Plaza guard saw what he later described as, and I'm going to read directly from here so I don't get it wrong, a man walking in a trance wearing a Philippine soldier uniform, and as soon as they noticed this man, they arrested him straight away. It seemed impossible to them how this man had gotten into the plaza, because obviously it's very heavily guarded, and somehow he got in undetected. No one noticed him at all. He just appeared. So once he was arrested, he told the guards that he was a Spaniard by the name of Gil Perez, and he said up until this point he had been serving in Manila in the Philippines, and he reported being on parole only 3 days earlier in Manila. He also claimed that soldiers were on high alert because of a unexpected assassination of the Philippines Governor General. He reported that he leaned against a wall just for a split second to rest, and then he just randomly appeared there in Plaza Mayor, and he did not understand what had gone on because he literally 2 seconds before was in Manila and now he's at Plaza Mayor. He also claimed that he had never been to Plaza Mayor, and obviously he's across the ocean, far away from Manila where he originally was, so he also didn't understand why he was there. However, the people of New Spain had not heard about the Governor General's assassination and had no reason to believe Gil Perez or his story, and it was crazy to them. They did not think he was telling the truth at all, and they did not think that the Governor General had been assassinated at all either. His claims were dismissed by the guards, but they were not taken lightly. He was still punished for these claims. As this was a highly religious society, they branded him a devil worshipper or a satanic servant, and they eventually threw him into prison. The mysterious man was imprisoned for several months until a ship docked from Manila at Plaza Mayor. This ship carried news of the assassination. A soldier from the ship heard about the arrest of Gil Perez, and he claimed that he knew Gil Perez, and he also claimed that he saw him on October 23rd. It was a bit odd because obviously October 23rd he's in Manila, and then all of a sudden October 23rd he's also in Plaza Mayor, so it seemed like his story had checked out, as even though it sounds so bizarre and no way that it could be true, there was no other explanation for it because there had been a witness. Although he didn't get trialed for witchcraft or devil worshipping or anything like that, they eventually just let him go, which I feel like if it was a woman back in those times, she would have been trialed for witchcraft. A lot of women got trialed for witchcraft for pretty much nothing back then, so maybe because it was a man they didn't trial him for witchcraft, but the government did just let him go in the end. They didn't trial him for anything like that. So Gil Perez got back on his ship and went back to Manila with the rest of his soldiers. Many people have theorized about the Gil Perez case and have said that it could be an alien abduction because it was a quick travel straight from Manila to Plaza Mayor. He was there in a split second. They've also put it down to portals or impersonation. Either way, the truth remains a mystery, as the records from 1593 are incomplete and no one knows the true story. So that is the end of the story about Gil Perez. What do you think? When I was researching this case, I did see a lot of drawings. I'm going to insert some so that you can see, from hundreds of years ago, where they're ancient drawings and they seem to have UFOs in them. So I feel like the alien abduction theory could be true, because I just don't understand why these ancient drawings have drawings of spaceships, UFOs, random flying looking objects in the sky. So alien abduction could have been a reason, but I could not find anywhere that that's true was fiction. So as far as I know, it's a true story, which is insane. But you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your theories about it as well. Okay, so on to the last story. This one is called The Mysterious Man from Taured. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's not a real country, but from the videos that I watched, a lot of people are saying Taured, so hopefully that is the right pronunciation. So in 1951, a well-dressed and well-spoken man showed up at Tokyo airport, and his passport raised a lot of concerns. The police said that the passport had stamps from Tokyo airport dating back several years. However, this was impossible because the airport wasn't actually around then, because it was built in 1951. So the year that this man showed up at the airport was the year that the airport was built. However, he had stamps from this exact airport dating back several years. Also, the passport was from a country that no one had ever heard of, and this country was called Taured. When the police told the man that Taured didn't exist, he became extremely agitated, and he demanded to see a map so he could show them where it was. He pointed to a country named Andorra and claimed this is where Taured was. Once he found out the real name of this country, it being Andorra, he begged officials to believe him and said he was telling the truth, and he was pleading with them to just believe him. He had swore that Taured had existed for 1,000 years. He even went so far to prove that he was fluent in French, German and Japanese. His wallet also contained money from each of those countries. So officials decided to call the hotel that he stayed at and also his workplace, but neither place had ever heard of this man. The obviously shaken officials decided to book him into a hotel where he would be guarded overnight and watched to make sure that he doesn't go anywhere, just until they find out who this man was, what was going on in the situation, because they were so confused. Even though the guards were watching his hotel room and every single one of the exits, the man and his mysterious passport eventually just disappeared. So that is the end of the story with the mysterious man from Taured. What do you think about that one? That is insane. Imagine if there's a secret society somewhere in the world called Taured and none of us know. The world amazes me sometimes. So that is the end of today's video. I hope you liked all of these stories. I hope you liked that I planned the stories a little bit better. I feel like the video flowed better for me, so hopefully it flowed a little bit better for you. But if you have any ideas of stories like this that you want me to do, please don't hesitate to drop them in the comments down below. And until next time, I will see you soon. Peace.